Hi, Lea Santiago here on social justice. First, let me follow the 3 points and then I'll try to make some more comments about it. My personal golden rule is Hi, my name is Leah. How can I help you? I think that we need to have a servant heart despite of what we want to do. My golden rule is deeply rooted in my faith. I was treated with compassion by a wonderful God who sent his only son um, to this earth to become like me, to put himself in my shoes, to suffer what I suffer. And despite of myself, in an act of selfless love, he gave himself for me. That alone would be sufficient for me to become a different person, that understanding of that type of sacrifice. And that's why I think that what I do and the way I live should be always through compassion, empathy, and selfless love. Um, I see Brazilians around me every day who cannot afford therapy. And I also see Brazilians who can afford therapy but don't speak the language. And because of that, these people go unattended. When I arrived in this country 20 years ago, I suffered of depression. It was very difficult for me to adapt. One of the things that I used to say constantly is, well, in Brazil, we do things this way. Well, in Brazil, we do things that way. Well, it turns out that someone got fed up with me saying that and told me, so if Brazil is so good, why don't you go back to Brazil? Um, this was not said in a joke. This was bigotry. This was prejudice. I was made fun of my accent when I arrived here 20 years ago. And I worked in, mind you, Department of Diversity and Compliance with a manager that didn't know how to live with differences. And it was very difficult for me, and I ended up in therapy. It was 2 beautiful, wonderful years that helped me grow, helped me get out of the mode where I was, woe me, um, taught me how to speak for myself, to be outspoken without being aggressive, being assertive without being aggressive. And I owe that to my therapist. She was a wonderful, wonderful doctor. Um, as Bible verses, and I apologize beforehand, I don't have it committed to memory. I think of James when he says in chapter 2, verse 44 and 45, he says, suppose that a brother or sister does not have clothing or food to eat consistently, to eat daily, and you tell them, go in peace, be blessed, stay warm and well fed, and you do nothing, your faith is dead, because faith is backed up by actions. And my understanding of Christianity is that we have to fight for social justice. We have to, it's one of our uh, purposes on this earth, not spiritual purpose. Do not get those two mixed up. I'm not talking about uh, be a witness for Christ, glorify God and enjoy him forever. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is be salt, be light. Be salt and be light. It signifies that we are here on this earth to season the earth, to make a difference. Be light. We are to illuminate people. We are to bring them knowledge. We are to open their minds to different horizons, to different realities. So, and we will address the action part in a little bit. The other passage that I think that speaks highly of what Christians should be doing and how we should be living is when we see in Acts 2, from let me see, it's Acts 2:45, and also chapter 4:34 and 35, that speaks of those Christians who sold their property, brought it to church, and helped all who needed. That money was not only for the church, people from the church who needed. The Bible says that it helped anyone who had need. And that's what the church does. And that's why that church was falling on the grace of all people. And that is the reason why, instead of people being afraid of that church or hating the way, they were admiring the way, because those people, they were selfless. They were showing selfless love. They were showing compassion. They were showing empathy. And this is a beautiful thing. Now, when it comes to actions, one of the things that I'm doing in terms of action is right now preparing myself, academically speaking, for counseling, because I do believe that I can be a force, a voice, a face for that community that has no voice, no face, no force. I also teach English because it's impossible for these people to successfully adapt to the culture, successfully adapt here without speaking the lingo. So I teach English, but I don't teach only grammar and orthography. I teach why things came to be, why we speak the way we speak, why we pronounce things the way we pronounce. I teach slang. I teach American history. I teach world history, to explain why things are spoken the way they're spoken, why the culture is the way it is. And it's very important that they understand that, because they feel inserted. The minute that they have this knowledge that, by the way, many Americans might not have, for instance, why you speak a certain way, why you say a certain saying, they feel inserted in a context. And this is important for their adaptation. So this is another thing that I do. I understood very early when I came to this country what's bigotry, what's hatred, what's prejudice. And I see that around me every day. And mind you, it's important to remember that it's not only a matter of, when we talk about culture, it's not only a matter of ethnicity, where you come from, what country you come from. Our own country here, and I'm not talking about the United States of America, we have subcultures. We have homeless cultures, we have homosexual cultures, we have the prostitution community that has their own subculture. We have culture within the culture, which in our case is the Native Americans. So we do have a lot to learn about people before we get to the point that we can rightly and safely counsel them. So it's important to learn that. Counselors, I wanted to highlight a text from the article that I read. Counselors can also challenge the status quo by using their research findings and practical experiences to address and advance opportunities for undeserved and marginalized groups, including but not limited to people of color, women, people with different abilities, sexual minorities, and religiously oppressed groups. It's important that we not only become illuminated ourselves, but that we help to illuminate other people, and that is being light. We are here to season the world, and that is being salt. Thanks for listening. Until the next one, this is Leah Santiago. It was great to be with you.